A very good evening to you, and thanks for joining us on NTV tonight, this Wednesday.
Yes, it is going to be remembered, beg your pardon, as a day of dramatic affairs from Parliament, and there has been some diplomatic storm building up, given Charles Njagwa's sentiments a few days ago that have gotten him into custody. Perhaps that was what he wanted in terms of how it plays out for his constituents, and also some responses from the Republic of Tanzania. You'll get all the details, including these other stories.
Tonight, Starehe MP Charles Njagwa, alias Jaguar, arrested over incitement.
The wider interest of the country overrides any other interest.
Speaker, we are under obligation to protect our people.
We have got our economic priorities upside down.
The debate and discord crosses borders.
Also tonight,
they have started the war. They should be ready to face us and get the interpretation of the war.
Parliament's arms are divided and fists are clenched. Another round of senators versus MPs.
Plus, multi-billion shilling project in limbo.
The year study and report were never subjected to proper and effective public participation.
Blow to government as tribunal halts construction of Lamu coal power plant.
And horror and sorrow.
Hiyo umbwa ametoka tu akaruka kwa mtoto akauma ini yake.
Rabid dog attacks and kills two little girls in Kisumu.
NTV Tonight with Mark Masai and Smriti Vidyarthi.
Thanks very much for joining us tonight. Our sign language interpreter is David Agondoa. Let's take you to our top story that Mark mentioned at the top of this broadcast. And Starehe Member of Parliament Charles Njagwa Kanyi will spend the night in police custody following his arrest earlier today over the alleged insightful remarks that he made at the Gikomba market on Saturday.
The legislator's remarks went viral on social media, sparking a heated debate that threatens to strain Kenya's diplomatic relations with its neighbor, Tanzania.
But the government was quick to distance itself from the MP's remarks and offered a firm guarantee of security of foreign investors in the country.
NTV Zainab Ismail begins our broadcast.
Matters got out of hand outside the Nairobi area police headquarters for a couple of hours after Starehe Member of Parliament Charles Njagwa Kanyi was taken to the station. Njagwa's supporters got a taste of tear gas as they demanded his release. The face-off resulted in a cat-and-mouse games between the police and Njagwa's supporters, with police lobbing tear gas to disperse the ballooning crowd.
I think we are joking with serious matters because this kind of escalation might result in some totally unintended consequences.
Earlier, the Starehe Member of Parliament had walked out of Parliament buildings fully aware of the fate that awaited him outside. Plain-clothed police officers who lay in wait outside Parliament for the better part of the morning pounced on him and bundled him into a vehicle and drove to the Nairobi Regional Police Headquarters to record a statement of his controversial remarks that have since gone viral. Fellow members of Parliament who accompanied him to the police station disagreed with the manner in which the Member of Parliament was arrested.
He's denied those allegations from the police officers, of course going by the statement that is made, because he feels that they were misinterpreted.
Across the border during a debate in Tanzania's parliament on Tuesday, Tanzania's parliamentarians said Kenya should not only distance itself from the sentiments but must also show action against the Member of Parliament.
Matamshi yale yametamkwa na mbunge huko mtaani. Naona kama serikali kumjibu kama tunampa hadhi vile.
It is remarks that the government has denounced itself from reassuring foreign investors of their security and that of their properties.
Government spokesman Cyrus Oguna, through a statement, said mitigating measures have since been instituted against the remarks. This comes hot on the heels of the directive by Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i ordering the deportation of all foreigners doing business as traders in Kenyan markets.
We are not issuing work permits to traders because we don't do that as government. we don't have a classification of work permits called traders. And any people who are in markets and so on, who are trying to trade, those are illegal immigrants. They are here illegally. And our security team understands that. We will deport them.
Jaguar will be presented in court tomorrow. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
Meanwhile, a fresh rows brewing between the two houses of parliament, with National Assembly calling for the scrapping of the positions of leaders of majority and minority in the Senate.
Well, in a motion tabled jointly by the leaders of majority and minority in the National Assembly, they say the two should also refund all monies advanced to them since they assumed office.
That'll be a tough call. Members of the National Assembly also want their counterparts in the Senate to keep off some duties they argue are they preserved.
NTV's political affairs reporter Kennedy Moredi delves into the ever-worsening battle for supremacy.
A motion tabled on the floor of the House by National Assembly Majority Leader Aden Duale and jointly signed by himself and the Minority Leader John Mbadi is seen as retaliation for a move by the Senate to legally challenge laws passed by the National Assembly without their input. In the motion, the National Assembly is accusing the Senate of usurping its roles and those of county assemblies in their quest to remain relevant.
Relation with our neighbors.
The main point in the motion has Duale and Mbadi complaining of the unconstitutionality of the offices of the leaders of majority and minority in the Senate.
The Senate has irregularly established and caused the Parliamentary Service Commission to facilitate and continues to irregularly facilitate the offices of the leader of majority and the leader of minority parties, offices that are known to the Constitution and any of the written laws in Kenya.
Further, the motion to be discussed next week also captures that Senate has continuously participated in vetting and approval of state officials, which is not within their mandate. The National Assembly argues it is their sole prerogative. The Senate has set up committees that duplicate those of the National Assembly and county assemblies. The Senate disregards provisions of the Constitution and introduces, considers and approves money bills, yet it is the preserve of the National Assembly. Last week, senators resolved to go to court over bills that have been passed by the National Assembly and assented to by the President without their input. And this time round, the National Assembly is looking at it as an upfront for war, and they are saying they are ready for the battle.
They have started the war. They should be ready to face us and get the interpretation of the war.
The Senate has tasked its legal team to move to court and challenge about 17 bills passed without their input since 2013. Among them are the Registration of Persons Act, which is in essence the Huduma Number Bill, the Kenya Defence Forces Act 2012, the Bribery Act 2016, the National Youth Service Bill 2018, and the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority Act 2013. Majority Leader in the Senate, Kipchumba Murkomen, has laughed off the move by the National Assembly, dismissing it as talk to keep them busy. Speaking to NTV, Murkomen said the National Assembly does not have the mandate to discuss the Senate, just like they do not have the powers to also discuss them. He further says the standing orders are explicit on this matter. The current situation pitting the two houses was sparked by the latest fallout on the Division of Revenue Bill and the signing into law of the Health Laws Amendment Bill 2018. Kennedy Moredi, NTV.
All right, let's take you back to our top story. And hours after the Sterehe MP, that's in Jaguar, was arrested, the National Assembly convened, but members were not speaking in one voice.
While some condemned the MP for his xenophobic remarks, others, led by Leader of Majority Aden Duale, threw their weight behind him, but regretted his choice of words in expressing his displeasure with activities of foreigners doing business in Nairobi.
Relation with our neighbors.
Parliament convened just hours after one of their own was arrested following xenophobic remarks Charles Njagua of Starehe grabbed headlines after his outburst, angered by the manner in which his constituents continue to lose opportunities to foreigners.
Tutaingia kwa hizo maduka wanafanyia kazi, sisi tutawatoa, tutawapiga na tutawapeleka airport.
Parliament was expected to take a stand on this matter, and this came in form of a statement by the Foreign Relations Committee chairperson.
We strongly condemn any reckless utterances that deviates from this firm position that define us as a nation.
Much as we may want to seek for publicity, for popularity, much as we would want to seek for votes, we must remember that the wider interest of the country overrides any other interest.
And I agree with the Chair of Defense and Honorable Band.
The majority leader, Eden Duale, had a different viewpoint. While he disagreed with how the Starehe MP had expressed his views, he agreed with him in principle.
And we are here, we must protect. We will not involve ourselves in hate speech, but this House must discuss.
Duale also reminded the MPs of occasions when Tanzania has clearly stood on the way of Kenyans' progress.
Kenya is not a dumping ground. We must discuss that. Kenyans' top professionals are not getting jobs in Tanzania. And I'll give an example. Vodafone International appointed Sylvia Mulinge as the head of Vodafone Tanzania. And the president and the government of Tanzania refused her.
This is not an isolated incident. Tanzania remains one of Kenya's biggest trading partners in the region. But in 2017, the police set on fire more than 6,000 chicks, holding that they were illegally exported. Months later, more than 5,000 day-old chicks were touched again, with Tanzania giving the same reasons. Still in 2017, Tanzania auctioned Kenya's cattle that had illegally crossed the border and was seized by her security forces. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
Now, earlier we looked at the squabble that is between the National Assembly and the senators. Well, as they agree to disagree or just disagree all the same, let's look at what it takes to get you represented by these and other elected officers and state officials. So we start with the president right here, and these are the figures that it takes per month to get them, paid for the services that they render you. The president gets 1,443,750. The deputy president 1.2 million shillings, a little over that. And going to the governors, and we multiplied this by the 47 counties, and the round figure right there is over 43 million shillings. And this, of course, is the source being the SRC, given the latest review that they gave for the period 2017 to 2022. The deputy governor there getting 621,000 shillings, 250. For all the counties, you're looking at 29 million shillings. Of course, there's some counties such as Nairobi, people are still asking if they will be getting a deputy governor to represent them. The senators there, 621,000 shillings. A round figure there for all the counties is 29 million shillings, a little over 29 million shillings. And next to the other state officers that represent you, the elected ones, of course, a member of the National Assembly, and that is 621,000 by 290. And of course, that is the numbers that were released by the IEBC before the elections. And we're looking at a figure here of a little over 180 million shillings. And I say a little over not to make it look any smaller, because those are big figures. And again, the women representative there by the 47 counties, 29 million shillings there, and not 198 and 750 shillings to get you the services from your woman representative. And to the MCAs, we have 2,222 of them, and of them we have 1,450 who are elected MCAs. and 772 nominated MCAs. The round figure here, going with their pay per month, 144,000, is 320 million shillings, and bringing us to the big number. And yes, this we will be looking at a round figure of 634 million, 658,938 shillings. And if you multiply that per, by the year annually, you're looking at a figure of a little over 7 trillion shillings. That's what it costs you to get representation in your county. And there's a small figure there of the wage, the minimum wage figure that is given by the Federation of Kenya Employers. And if they go by the rules of the FKE, we're looking at 13,572. And I'm told, just to correct my figure here, going annually with the big number to get the representation, it's actually 7 billion, not trillion, from the 634 million figure from the president to the deputy to the governor, senator, member of parliament, the MCAs and women representatives. That's how much it costs you to get representation.
Mark, thanks. Mind-blowing numbers, certainly overwhelming figures right there, but thanks for breaking it down to us. All right, to other news making headlines, and some members of parliament allied to Deputy President William Ruto now want the investigations into the threats on his life thoroughly conducted. The MPs say the explanation offered by the cabinet secretaries alleged to be at the centre of the plot does not hold water. This comes as State House denied receiving the letter detailing the scheme, and that was addressed to the president. NTV's Brenda Wanga has that report.
The fallout from the leaked letter that alleges a plot to assassinate Deputy President William Ruto continues.
By the admission of some cabinet ministers from Mount Kenya region, that they indeed met secretly at night in the basement of a hotel where mobile phones were not allowed.
3 CSs admitted to holding the meeting at Lamada Hotel, the venue where the letter alleges that the issue of going on the offensive against the deputy president as well as a thinly veiled threat on his life were discussed. The attendees denied the allegations, insisting the meeting was all about the region's progression.
There is freedom of association and the freedom of expression.
The MPs are, however, casting doubt on the agenda, given the composition of the attendance.
At the same time, they choose to leave another CS. This CS, Kiunjuri, is handling a docket that is supposed to be a backbone of the Big Four agenda, which is agriculture.
The MPs say the threats on the well-being of the deputy president should not be taken lightly.
Hatuko hapa kutetea deputy president, but tuko hapa kutetea kila Mkenya. You should not kill somebody in the name of power.
That letter that is at the center of the fallout in the Jubilee Party is yet to be authenticated. However, the office of the president, who the letter was addressed to, now says it has no knowledge of it. In a phone interview, State House spokesperson Kanze Dena says it was never delivered to State House and therefore to them it does not exist. The Directorate of Criminal Investigation says it is keen to find out who wrote it and why. But before the investigations begin in earnest, the DCI says it needs more than a verbal complaint, a situation that would require the Deputy President to formally record a statement. The DP is, however, yet to make that statement, even though the Director of Criminal Investigation, George Kinoti, has offered to be present when and if he chooses to make it. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
The government's plan to develop a multi-billion shilling coal-fired plant in Lamu is now in limbo after the National Environment Tribunal stopped the construction of the project and ordered a fresh environmental impact assessment.
NTV's Victor Kiprop highlights the project's seemingly bleak future and the government's efforts to save the multi-billion shilling project.
In the much-awaited landmark ruling, the tribunal said NEMA violated the law by issuing an environmental compliance license for the project without conducting consultative public participation forums, rendering the certificate void.
The first respondent therefore failed in discharging its mandate as provided for under the enabling statute, MCA, by appearing to have only formally endorsed the EA study process and the EA study report.
The The tribunal also found the contractor Amu Power guilty of submitting an incomplete environmental impact assessment report, which ignored the provisions of the Climate Change Act and failing to provide an engineering plan for the project on the side that is said to be prone to flooding.
The second respondent, should it still wish to pursue the construction and operation of the project, to undertake a fresh EIA study following the terms of reference already formulated in January 2016 and in compliance with the Director General's Directive of 26 October 2015.
Kenya, whose 2/3 of current installed electricity capacity is generated by renewable energy sources, has been pushing for the implementation of the project, arguing that it is necessary to power the country into an industrial economy.
Wacha warudi watusikilize, watuite kwanza, watusikilize yale maoni yetu, na nina hakika kama watarudi na tutaongea wakirudi, hiyo license hawatapewa tena.
The power station has however been stuck at the planning stages for about 6 years due to fierce resistance from activists and local communities who believe the project will harm the environment, including the 700-year-old Lamu town, which is a UNESCO heritage site.
With today's ruling, the respondents in the case can choose to comply and conduct a fresh environmental impact assessment study or appeal the case within the next 30 days. But in the meantime, for the residents of Lamu, this is a temporary reprieve. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business, Naru.
Controversial and flamboyant Paul Kobia is spending the night in police custody.
Kobia and 14 of his employees were arrested by Serious Crime Unit detectives who raided his office premises along Riverside Drive in Nairobi.
He's alleged to have conned a Dubai national of $1.7 million, pretending that he could sell him 50 kilos of gold. Here's NTV's Mel Miendo.
Paul Kobia is a man dogged by controversy. He is seen in this video posted on social media flaunting his flashy lifestyle. Linked to the fake gold syndicate, Serious Crime Unit detectives from the DCI have been hot on his heels. A Dubai national is said to have filed a complaint after losing close to $2 million. Kobia had promised to deliver 50 kilograms of gold, which turned out to be fake. The media was kept at bay as police conducted a search at Kobia's offices. Detectives confiscated items including 7 suspected fake gold nuggets, 6 motor vehicles, 2 of which are the latest Toyota Lexus LX570 and a Chrysler, wooden bank stamps from the Central Bank of Kenya, thermoscientific atom analyzer, platinum thermocouple machine, money counting machine, electronic tax register machine, assorted seals and stamps, as well as suspected counterfeit goods were also taken away. Kobia and 13 of his employees were arrested and escorted to the DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road. Kobia, who has now been arrested for the 3rd time, was recently hospitalized to undergo a mental assessment test. It is yet to be determined whether he will stand trial. He and 13 of his colleagues are expected in court on Thursday morning.
Ile kitu inafanya nipige nishiko na watu wangu kwa sababu nimetangaza kusimama upresident 2022.
It took 6 hours for Special Crime Unit detectives from the DCI to raid Paul Kobia's office premises at the Riverside Drive. Kobia has been linked to the fake gold syndicate, and it is said that the information about that particular raid was already leaked to Kobia, and hence detectives were not able to find exactly what they were looking for. Mel Miendo, NTV at the DCI headquarters in Nairobi.
Mel Miendo's report brings us to our first break here on NTV tonight, but we'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Crunchy peanuts, smooth caramel, creamy chocolate, and nougat. You're not you when you're hungry.
Thank you for staying with NTV tonight. We continue with the developments of the day.
Now, the latest divisions within the Jubilee Party and the frosty relationship between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto have raised questions about whether the end of the Jubilee Party is nigh. Well, is the Jubilee Party on its deathbed, or is it going to survive the high morality rate, of political parties in Kenya, witnessed over the years in every electoral cycle? Here's NTV's Vincent Odwor.
In the run-up to the 2017 general elections, President Uhuru Kenyatta's TNA party and that of his deputy William Ruto URP folded and merged various political parties to form Jubilee Party. To date, the party has never held elections for party officials.
What could have been done by the leadership of Jubilee was to consolidate the party. Consolidation was not done. And when you say it's on its deathbed, I don't see the symptoms, because that is its nature. It has been that way since it started.
The 2018 handshake between President Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga seemed to worsen the situation. Two factions emerged. Those allied to President Kenyatta called Kieleweke, and those allied to his deputy William Ruto called Tanga Tanga. Previously, former Jubilee Vice Chair David Murathe had to resign after the Tanga Tanga leaders fiercely attacked him for vowing to scuttle Ruto's 2022 presidential bid. Currently, leaders allied to Ruto want Jubilee Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju to resign after a recorded phone conversation alleged to be that of him and former Limuru MP George Nyanja plotting against Ruto emerged.
It can be observed that the president gives instructions, and the deputy president does not actually follow those instructions to the letter. For example, he says, let us stop the campaigns for 2022, but the deputy president continues like he did not actually hear the president. And that is the problem that has actually continually undermined and destroyed even the unity within Jubilee.
However, Bosire feels the current divisions within Jubilee is not fatal.
These are individuals, politicians, who have decided to take sides. And they are taking sides within the party itself, and none has threatened to leave.
So far in Mount Kenya region, a region believed to be Kenyatta's political stronghold, at least 2 new parties have been registered: Transformation National Alliance and CRP, while in Rift Valley, NRA Party has been registered. Parties registered by individuals affiliated to the Jubilee Party.
The symptoms of the serious disease that afflicts the Jubilee Party are visible for all to see, and the eventuality of death appears to be all but certain. Vincent Odwor, NTV, Nairobi.
Here are symptoms of another serious disease. An official at the Ministry of Lands office was ambushed by officers from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission today morning while accepting a bribe. The official, who has been identified as Stanley Ngare, had been holding the title deed of a member of the public who did not wish to be identified. The complainant says that he had started the process of securing the title deed in 2007, but was taken round in circles by the official, who would continuously ask for bribes of 3,000 shillings in exchange for the title deed. However, the official was entangled in his own web of corruption when the complainant alerted EACC officials, who then gave him treated money to catch the lands official in the act. Ngare will be arraigned on Thursday over the matter.
All right, to a truly sad story. And tomorrow, the people of Kambudi and Jimo villages in Seme, that's in Kisumu County, will be interring the bodies of 2 little girls named Beldine Awino and Salome Anyango. The 2 girls were bitten by a rabid dog and suffered miserable deaths. Well, grief-stricken and distraught may partly just describe what their families are going through, as NTV's Oko Okusa found out. Here's the full story.
The harassing buzz from aggressive houseflies excited by a mild odor emanating from the lifeless body of her 9-year-old daughter, Salome, notwithstanding, Marceline Oyako stays put. For the past 3 days, this has been Marceline's favorite spot. Inside the mosquito net lies the formalin-treated body of her only child. Salome's death was caused by a rabid dog that attacked her right here in her father's compound.
I had just given her a key to take to her father when the dog attacked and bit her. Moments later, her grandfather came to inform me about the attack. The dog bit Salome on her right hand.
But instead of rushing the injured girl to hospital, Marceline took her to a herbalist residing in the neighborhood. However, some relatives advised Marceline to take her daughter to a nearby clinic. As advised, Marceline took the child to Kombewa the next day.
They told me that the hospital had run out of anti-rabies vaccine, so I should purchase it at a chemist outside the facility. I took the child there and she was injected.
After learning of the incident, a surveillance team from the county visited the home and recommended that the child be taken back to hospital to complete her dose. Salome was a grade 1 pupil at Jimo Primary School. 3 kilometers away, the family of George Otieno is also grieving. In just a matter of hours, they will be burying 10-year-old Beldin Awino.
Akaruka kwa mtoto, akauma ini yake. Nikatoka hapa na mbio, nikachukua jembe pale, nikaua yeye hapo hapo.
George immediately rushed the beaten girl to Kombewa Sub-County Hospital.
Nimepata daktari. Wamesema hiyo dawa ya umbwa ni 7,000.
Father and daughter would then head to a traditional doctor who, according to George, treated the girl. But a few weeks later, Beldin's condition deteriorated. Beldin's siblings and her mother are yet to come to terms with her death. She was the fourth born in a family of 5. A grade 3 pupil at Opandi Primary School. Rabies is a vaccine-preventable viral disease that occurs in more than 150 countries in the world. Okukusa, NTV.
And we say pole sana to Marceline, the mom and the entire family that lost these 2 children to this preventable incident. Beg your pardon. On to something else we've been following. The country indeed has been keen on this. A witness in the Monica Kimani murder case has told the court that there is a direct link between the scene of murder and the residence of one of the suspects. The expert also revealed details of some of the items found at both the late Monica Kimani's apartment and the suspect's house. Setolale followed the proceedings at the criminal court in Milimani.
Did you play any other role in these investigations?
Forensic expert Constable Jennifer Jepkosgei told the court that male shoes and trousers were found at Monica Kimani's bedroom at her Lamuria Gardens apartment in Kilimani. It also emerged that there was a glass, some drink, and partly eaten smoky at the deceased house. The prosecution witness revealed to the court that a bullet was found inside Jackie Maribe's house number 626, situated at Royal Park Estate in Langata. In addition, a firearm registered B467102 with 34 rounds of ammunition was found in Brian Kasaine's house number 677. Kasaine is Maribe's neighbor. Detectives also found burnt and partially burnt items that include pieces of cloth inside a trench situated 35 meters opposite Jackie Maribe's house number 626.
I was shown house number.
The expert witness told the court that she believes there is a direct link between the secondary scene of crime, which is Maribe's and Kasaine's house, and the primary scene of crime, which is the late Monica's apartment.
The first protected witness will testify in court tomorrow, meaning that the public, including the media, are barred from attending the session. Only the judge, court clerks, prosecution, defense lawyers, accused persons, and representative of the family of the accused and the victim will be present in court. Seth Olale, NTV at the Milimani Law Courts, Nairobi.
A story we will remain focused on, and on to something that we reported on yesterday, and is getting some good responses, Smriti.
That's right. Well, now we do have some great news to report. Well-wishers have come forward to assist 20-year-old Maureen Mukuru, who was seeking help to have the remains of her mother buried 9 months after she died.
NTV highlighted her plight and followed her journey of grief, a daily long trek to the Kitengela County Hospital morgue, where she hoped to raise 20,000 shillings to cover her burial expenses.
On Tuesday, NTV highlighted the story of Maureen Mukuru. Her life has been full of misery. Every day she would trek for more than 10 kilometers and pitch tent at the Kitengela County Hospital morgue, hoping for a miracle. The body of her mother has been lying at the morgue since last year. She died in September after a short illness and left behind an accumulated bill of over 100,000 shillings. Although the hospital waived the bill, she was however required to raise 20,000 shillings to cater for the burial expenses. Since her story came to light, Maureen has received an outpouring of support from well-wishers all over the country, a situation that has eased the burden on her weary shoulder. Those who pledged to support her include KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli. Today, Sonko Rescue Team extended its humanitarian wings to the needy lady. The team visited Maureen and provided a casket, foodstuffs, and promised her a job. They also paid her rent for 6 months.
Msichana mimi namchukua ambaye nitamwemploy kwa timu yangu ile ya warembo na Sonko. At least sasa jua tumuongeza mfanyikazi kwa timu yangu.
Shukuru Mungu kwa kuwa nimepata msaada. Sasa hii nitapumzisha mamangu vizuri. Nashukuru NTV na wasamaria wema wote wenye wamenitumia pesa. Mungu awabariki na awaongezee.
For now, Maureen is happy that the agony and sleepless nights she had for the past 9 months had come to an end, and she can afford to offer her mother a decent burial. Her mother will be laid to rest on Friday at the Kajiado Public Cemetery. Rozongoi, NTV.
And we'd like to say thank you very much to everyone who responded to the plight of that lady and came out to help in whichever way. Asanteni sana.
All right, we are about to take a break on NTV tonight, but here's what you can expect in tomorrow's Daily Nation. Kenya's education woes continue, with pertinent questions remaining unanswered on the implementation of the new 2663 curriculum.
This after the government confirmed the transition of education curriculum from 844 to 2663 to be implemented in 2019. Valid concerns that remain unaddressed plunge both educators and parents into confusion and uncertainty.
Well, can the populace expect successful education for children when critical issues such as whether or not to have national examinations in students as young as grade 3 or where lower secondary schools will be domiciled remain ambiguous?
What are the 4 critical areas that will determine success of this ambitious education program, and where are we in answering them? Grab your copy of Daily Nation tomorrow to find out those answers.
Jumia Anniversary Sale is live now. Get the Y9 Prime 2019 24,999 and Pampers Jumbo Pack at 999 shillings only.
It is time to get down to business. Welcome, I am Julian Amboko. Now, a section of legislators are warning that the country's public finance management framework is at stake as some county governments table their budgets without the passage of the Division of Revenue Bill. This follows the tabling of the budgets for Nairobi and Baringo counties this week, the stalemate between the National Assembly and the Senate notwithstanding. Article 224 of the Constitution empowers county governments to prepare and adopt respective annual budgets on the basis of the Division of Revenue Bill passed, and that's the key word there, passed by the Parliament. In effect, this implies that in a scenario such as the prevailing one, where the national budget was tabled before the National Assembly without the passage of the Division of Revenue Bill, Nairobi and Baringo counties have jumped the gun in tabling their budgets.
They're discussing a budget that doesn't have an allocation. It doesn't have, they don't know which grants are going to come to national government for purposes of either conditional grants or any other grants. And it is a mandatory requirement under the PFM and the Constitution that those ones must be included as part of budgeting. On what basis are county governments, because they cannot get stuck there, going to go into appropriation?
Kakamega County Governor Wycliffe Oparanya has, however, expressed confidence that the stalemate will be resolved before the close of the 2018-2019 financial year, something the Makueni senator says is not feasible.
We are hopeful that we will get a solution so that counties are able to get their allocation before the end of the financial year.
The negotiations or discussions, or whatever you would like to call it, on division of revenue can only come to pass or come on the table when the National Assembly publishes a fresh division of revenue bill.
With only 4 days to the end of the financial year 2018-2019, it is unlikely that the bill will be passed before the new financial year begins, a situation that will put counties in an awkward position with little money to work with. Quite a sticky affair there on matters fiscal policy. Elsewhere, the Anti-Counterfeit Authority has been put on the spot after a section of small traders accused its officials of ambushing them and confiscating their goods despite being cleared by the Inland Container Depot. The traders, who appeared before the National Assembly Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, accused various government agencies of frustrating their efforts in clearing their goods from the ICD. Lillian Carrier was at the depot and filed this report.
For the last couple of months, if you visit most shops that deal with imported items, you will notice that the stock is still old. Most traders are all singing the same song, that they have not been able to stock up their shops because the goods they shipped months ago are still yet to be released, either from the Mombasa port or at the Inland Container Depot. It is now more than a week since the presidential directive to clear cargo from the Inland Container Depot lapsed. And while some containers have been cleared, a lot more are still stuck here. The push and pull between traders and the clearing agencies has resulted in the intervention of Parliament. This even as some traders whose goods were cleared from the depot accuse the Anti-Counterfeit Authority of ambushing them in their areas of business and insisting on re-inspecting their goods.
Tumesikia kwamba kuna bidhaa ambazo zilitolewa hapa kwa ICD zikapelekwa kwa maduka, na punde tu wafanyabiashara walipofika kule kwa maduka, basi nao watu wa ACA ndio hao wakawavamia na wakachukua bidhaa hizo. Pia tunawaomba kwamba wakati huu hata wao wasiwe wanawahangaisha wafanyi biashara. Manake hao wafanyi biashara wameumia sana. Bidhaa zao zimekuwa hapa zaidi ya miaka miwili, miaka mitatu, sasa inaelekea miaka mitatu. Hata faida wakati mwingine haionekani. Kwa hivyo tutakuwa pia na kikao na tutakuwa tunawaita ili watueleze ni njia gani ama ni binu gani wanatumia kujua hii bidhaa ni Gucci ama hii bidhaa si Gucci.
Sasa komboa container moja ambayo unanunua vitu moja hana shida yote. Ile watu anapata shida wakati hii ambayo kazi inashinda kuendelea ni hii kazi dogo dogo kwa shida wa nchi ya Kenya. Tunaomba kama achungwe kama mayai.
Authorities at the depot say that out of the total 533 containers that have been reviewed, 144 contain cooking oil, which they fear is expired. 55 containers are undeclared, while 115 of them still under processing for verification by the Kenya Bureau of Statistics. and the Kenya Revenue Authority. 219 containers have already been released. Lillian Kiarie, NTV.
And from trade, let's move to matters aviation. Now, the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport is in urgent need of a massive facelift, even after all the developments that have been taking place in the recent years. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala has expressed disappointment at the uncompetitive state of affairs at the regional hub, which has been the subject of the takeover bid by Kenya Airways. Alex Mwangi with the details.
The Jomo Kenyatta International Airport has undergone a number of changes, including the refurbishment of terminals and addition of new terminals since a fire gutted down the international arrival section almost 6 years ago. The incremental changes have improved service delivery at the airport, but Tourism Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala says that isn't enough.
But if we want to be really serious in tourism and have the big numbers, we must build a new airport. We can't panel beat an airport that is 1970, my friends. We can't do that.
Although politically unstable at times, Turkey has managed to raise its profile as a tourist destination. It is now riding on this wave to create a conducive environment for tourists and business travelers alike in order to make stopovers in the country and bring in the much-needed foreign exchange earnings.
Istanbul received 42 million tourists. They've just built an airport, the largest of 200 million capacity. As we are still talking about an airport that handles 7 million people in terms of transit. And it is not geared to be seamless where we can be able to say yes. And remember, your airport is the first impression of a destination.
Attractiveness in the tourism industry is becoming more and more about an ecosystem of services, including a destination's concern for the environment. Compared to Turkey, geographical and infrastructural attributes weigh down on Kenya as a choice destination.
Their flight is about 2 hours, 3 hours from the source market. Our flight is 7 hours from the source market, and then 3 hours on the highway to come to the hotel.
Balala spoke during the announcement of the partnership between Express Travel Group, a travel management company, with Travel Leaders Network, North America's largest travel agency.
So this is how the brand will be.
Alex Mwangi, NTV.
And elsewhere, the county government of Kakamega has launched a cashless system for revenue collection intended at sealing loopholes through which revenue leaks. The digital revenue collection system will cover all county services and provide the county with an efficient way of handling its finances. Governor Wycliffe Oparanya says so far the county is raising nearly 1 billion shillings in revenue, a figure that it hopes will increase through the digital system.
It's therefore a great day for Kakamega County as it switches on the new digital engine, paving way to improve service delivery, enhance revenue collection, and ultimately expanded opportunities for economic growth.
And as the demand for 7-seater station wagons continues to grow, car manufacturers are hard-pressed to meet the needs of the market. Toyota Kenya has unveiled the Suzuki Ertiga model that seeks to tap into the station wagon segment. Data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics indicates that for the past 5 years, there has been a trend with the country registering a shift from passenger travel to passenger-cum-cargo vehicles, with 62% of the vehicles registered in 2018 being station wagons. Toyota says the Ertiga was designed with the family and small-sized businesses in mind, with a 1.5-litre engine. And that's it for the business news. I leave you with the financial report.
Don't switch remotes. The Brazil 2019 Copa America is here. 12 nations, 25 matches, 1 South American trophy. Messi, Aguero, James Rodriguez, Cavani, Suarez, Firmino on display. Special offer. Pay 1 month subscription and enjoy 1 month free upgrade. It's in HD, live and exclusive on World Football from 14th June to 7th July. Don't switch remotes.
Star Times.
the new home of football.
When the spirit of Kenya got going that magical day, it never looked back. And now,
Welcome back. Kenya now has a chance to prove its case on the border dispute against Somalia at the International Court of Justice after the court on Tuesday published a schedule for the hearing of the case. Well, first to argue its case will be Somalia, followed then by Kenya. NTV Silas Apollo with more details on the dispute that dates back years and which now threatens the coexistence of the two one-time allies.
In a notice published Tuesday evening, the International Court of Justice says that the first round of hearings will take place on September 9th, when Somalia will make its submissions, while Kenya will respond on September 11th. Somalia will go first in the second round of oral arguments on Thursday, September 12th, while Kenya will give its closing submissions on Friday, September 13th. The announcement by the court comes as a reprieve for the two countries that have been at loggerheads on the boundary dispute after Somalia moved to the Hague-based court in 2014. Somalia wants the boundaries altered in its favor, claiming Kenya had annexed its territory, a proposal Kenya opposes and an accusation it denies. Instead, Kenya has accused Somalia of acting in bad faith and disregarding the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the two countries. And should Kenya lose the case, it risks becoming a landlocked country and may lose 42% of its territory. However, the government insists that Somalia has since 1979 recognized and respected the boundary between the two countries, which is along a parallel latitude, just as it is today. And Somalia is said to have changed tune in August 2014 when it filed the case at the ICJ, with Kenya filing a preliminary objection in October 2015. Kenya wants the maritime border to run along a parallel latitude southeast of Kiunga, while Somalia, on the other hand, is arguing for a diagonal line down the Kenyan coast. The government has accused Mogadishu of auctioning oil blocks within Kenya's territory to bidders in London, a move the country protested. And while Kenya has previously demanded that Somalia withdraws the map offered during the London auction, Mogadishu is said to have been reluctant. The hearing of the maritime dispute between Kenya and Somalia will start on September 9th and run through to September 13th. Silas Apollo, NTV.
That story by Silas Apollo takes us to a break. Vidyarthi Kiru is standing by with the Day Sports News.
Every footballer dreams of playing in the big leagues. It doesn't always happen. But what if the big leagues came to the players? For the first time ever, English Premier League sensations Everton will bring the game home. 2019 SportPesa Cup winners Kariobangi Sharks will go down in history as the first Kenyan team to host Everton in Kenya. July the 7th, Tukutane Kasarani. SportPesa. Make it count.
A very good evening to you. It is time to play on NTV tonight. I am Vidyarthi Kiru. Kenya and Tanzania, who both lost the opening matches at the Africa Cup of Nations, will be seeking better fortunes when they clash Thursday night. And as Brian Otwal reports from Cairo, Egypt, both coaches are having sleepless nights as they seek the right formula for success.
After the 2-0 humbling by Algeria, Harambee Stars coach Sebastian Minye has promised an overhaul in his starting lineup against Taifa Stars of Tanzania.
In this kind of competition, it's important to try to win the second one and to exist and to continue to win, to expect something for the qualification. We have to look at the positive.
the global sports communications table, Chepngetich is optimistic that she has done enough preparations ahead of the Prefontaine Classic Diamond League race in Eugene, Oregon in the USA come Sunday. Speaking exclusively to NTV Sports and during her last training session at the Moi University Annex Campus Track, the world beater had moderate expectations.
Preparation yangu imekuwa mzuri sana. Nimeanza build up, nimefanya my exercises, so natumai kuwa hii mwaka itakuwa ya baraka kuna World Championship mbele.
According to Faith, her 2-year maternity break has rejuvenated her. She intends to use the Diamond League races as part of preparations ahead of the World Championships slated for September and October in Doha, Qatar, where she will be aiming to retain her title.
Kitu yangu muhimu sasa ni kufanya mazoezi, kurudi mzuri, kufanya mazoezi yangu mzuri ili ni defend title yangu kule Doha World Championship.
Faith announced herself on the global scene by winning 1500 meters gold at the Rio Olympics in August 2016 and the gold at the World Championships in London in August 2017. Lois Wangoi, NTV Sports, Eldoret.
It is lovely to see Faith back on the track, and Kenya is currently putting the final touches ahead of the 2019 Safari Rally, which will be a World Rally Championship candidate event that also serves as the 4th round of the African Rally Championship. The event will rev off at the Kasarani Stadium on Friday 5th July and conclude on Sunday 7th of July in Naivasha.
It's been no systems go. Last year we were able to return the Safari back to Africa Rally Championship Series, and this year we are lucky to be running the only candidate event in the world. What we expect out of this event is, if it's successful, we will be looking at returning the Safari back to World Rally Championship Series in 2020. We're keeping our fingers crossed. We've done everything that we need to do.
And that was a campaign manifesto for the Jubilee government, and we're waiting to see how this year's Safari Rally actually does pan out. And on to golf, and South African professional Toto Timba led his amateur team of lady golfer Wayua Mululu of Karen, as well as Joe Mwigai and Mushemi Gashugi, to a 5-point victory in the KCB Karen Masters Pro-Am at the Karen Country Club. Speaking ahead of the tee-off of the Sunshine Tour sanctioned event tomorrow, KCB Marketing Director Angela Mwirigi explained the bank's plans for golf in the country.
We have Michael Palmer coming back again this year after winning it last year. We have our local pros getting an opportunity to play with people they would never otherwise have had an opportunity to play with. And we're looking forward actually to growing the junior golf so that we can get more and more Kenyans going up to the top of the food chain every year as we improve the events that are available.
And it's going to be a lot of lit golf action at the Karen Country Club all from Thursday all the way to Sunday. So do make time to walk the greens. And we'll finish off our bulletin in Brazil. After 13 days of group stage action in Brazil, which featured a mixed bag of quality and entertainment, the Copa America is finally ready for the quarterfinal stage. Today we preview the 2 quarterfinals featuring Colombia against Chile and Uruguay versus Peru.
Brazil Copa America 2019 in association with StarTimes.
Out of any nation in the final 8, Chile has been the nation that surprised the most. It's been the familiar faces of Arturo Vidal, Alexis Sanchez and Eduardo Vargas taking center stage in the tournament. Chile will aim to be physical against Colombia, reduce the number of crosses and narrow the field, looking to disrupt the wide play. But this strategy is easier said than done because this Colombia side is extremely dangerous and, most importantly, deep. Now, after beating Chile 1-0 on Monday and winning their group, Uruguay enters their matchup with Peru with familiar confidence. Luis Suarez, Edison Cavani and Seattle Sounders star La Lodero
Warothe Kiru. Back to Mark and Smriti.
All right.
Thank you. No, I was just about to say he calls it 1-1 Tanzania Kenya for tomorrow. Let's see how that goes and what he'll be reporting tomorrow. My name is Mark Masai. Have a good night. Sorry for interrupting.
No, that's fine. Thanks to our sign language interpreter, that is David Agondo. Thanks very much to you for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. Good night.